Ken Foster. I am a professor of agricultural economics at Purdue University, and I also operate a family beekeeping business called Wildcat Creek Apiary. Our business is located in Lafayette, Indiana. I grew up in northwestern Indiana in a small town called Wheatfield, and that's where my family's business originated. There are many other pollinating insects, everything from bumblebees, flies, butterflies, and other insects that also pollinate plants. Honeybees become important because they can be moved, and as agriculture has become more concentrated into larger farms with single species of plants like the almond trees in California that we hear so much about, we need additional pollinators. Native pollinators are not sufficient in number over those large spaces of monoculture to do the pollinating. At the same time, it's a little bit of discordant that this move towards more concentrated agriculture has reduced diversity for pollinating insects, and so the honeybees are brought into the fields during the flowering stage of the plant. They pollinate them, and then we have to move the bees to some other location where there's more diversity of plants for nutritional reasons for the honeybees. Honeybees have become under greater pressure. So have other pollinator insects. At the same time, we see declines in other species of bees and butterflies, in many cases due to the actions of humans. Without pollinators, we would recognize reduction in the quantity of fruits and vegetables, but maybe equally important, the quality of those fruits and vegetables and nuts would decline. So honeybees are in part an indicator species of the quality of the environment and the nature of agricultural production. From our point of view as beekeepers, the sustainability is partly economic. In order to continue to raise honeybees and be in the beekeeping business, we have to be able to make some money, either through selling honey or beeswax or pollinating services or educational experiences. It's also that's intertwined with environmental sustainability. In order for us to produce honey, we need a variety of plants. One of the things that has happened to agriculture in our area in Indiana is it's become more concentrated in fewer plant species. So most of the land is planted to corn and soybeans. There's less pasture land, less land used to harvest hay, where there were legumes, leguminous plants growing, which are outstanding sources of nectar for honeybees. So we try to locate our honeybees along things like the Wabash River and the Wildcat Creek. That's the name of our business, Wildcat Creek Apiary, because many of our honeybees are sited in the watershed of the Wildcat Creek, where there's a more diverse set of plant species. And this is important because honeybees, just like humans, require a diverse diet. Vitamins, minerals, and protein, fats, and energy. They get the energy from the nectar of flowers, and they get the vitamins, protein, minerals, and other nutrients from the pollen of those flowers. So as the environment becomes more concentrated in fewer plant species, so does the quality of the food that the honeybee has at its disposal. And so one of the stress factors for honeybees is lack of environmental diversity. The other dimension of sustainability for us is cultural or family. Our family has been in the honey business at least for 4 generations, maybe more, we don't really know. But we use the motto, honey runs in our veins. The reason why we continue to produce honey and be in a honey business is because of that legacy, because I find myself teaching my son lessons about beekeeping that my father taught to me, and that I think is important to us as a society and a culture, that we continue to pass down that sort of intergenerational knowledge and experience. I do straddle in the food system 2 different major roles. One is managing this family beekeeping business, and the other is as a researcher and educator at the university. I don't do research and education around beekeeping. I like the fact that I have some separation personally in that regard, but the 2 overlap heavily in the sense that as a manager of a beekeeping business, I highly value the information that comes from university researchers that help me be more effective at managing production, as well as building a marketing strategy for my business. The other thing is, as a university researcher and extension professor and teacher, having a stake in production agriculture gives me a unique perspective. I understand the challenges that farmers face. I'm able to articulate real-world examples for my students more effectively because of those experiences as a business person. In my business, the way we define sustainable from the point of view of what we do is low chemical input. We try to minimize the amount of chemical inputs that we use to treat pests. We try to use more natural methods. We try to take advantage, of the habits of the honeybee to control pests, and that's not to say that we don't occasionally have to use some chemical inputs. So we use formic acid to control for parasitic mites. I don't feel too bad about that because some insects produce formic acid naturally to repel pests. Honeybees don't, but we don't use any antibiotics at all in the production of our honey. And so for me, sustainability is that. And of course, in the honey business, we depend a lot on society to provide a sustainable environment, and depend a lot on our neighbors to provide a sustainable habitat. It's not like raising cattle where I control all the land where my cattle graze, and I manage all of that land to be sustainable and to reduce erosion and runoff. In our case, our honeybees fly up to 3 miles from their location. We don't control all of the land where they live. As a professor at the university, I teach economics, so the predominant focus that I have in the classroom and in interactions with stakeholders is around economic sustainability. But I think we all understand that long-term economic sustainability is predicated on community and society and our culture and maintaining cohesiveness with our neighbors and our customers and our suppliers, depending on what our role is in that food system, as well as maintaining an environment that's healthy and productive and supportive of safe food production. Our focus on low input honey production is really driven by the desires of our customers. So as I mentioned earlier, our customers value our honey because it's local, but they also value it because it's a natural product. I mean, when people think of honey, they think of something that's extremely wholesome. So I feel like my customers are trusting me to deliver to them this wholesome product. I know this is their image. If we were using antibiotics and we were using a lot of chemicals to control for pests and do other things, that we would be betraying their trust. Food system in general is quite complex. Class that I teach, we talk about supply chains and about how product moves from farmers to consumers and passes through the hands of many different actors along the way to transform product or to move product from one place to another. And we talk about the role of prices and sending information back the other direction from consumers and what they demand and what they wish to be produced and how they want it to be produced. And one of the phenomena that we have experienced in our business in my lifetime is a transformation in the demand for honey. Once upon a time, the majority of our income came from pollinating crops. We would move honeybees to blueberry fields and then to cucumber fields where the honeybees would pollinate those crops. The bees produced honey, but the value of that honey was relatively low compared to the value of the pollination services. Consumer demand has completely changed. The honey that we produce locally is highly prized in the marketplace by consumers, many of whom understand that consuming local honey and the pollen that is contained in local honey has health benefits to them in terms of reducing allergy and stimulating their immune system. And again, other consumers just enjoy the fact that they know the farm that has produced the honey they consume. Their food dollars are stimulating the local economy and supporting local agriculture. And so today, the majority of our income comes from honey production, not from pollination services. And I think that creates a level of economic sustainability that is new and maybe provides a little bit more resilience to us in the sense that we have two potential sources of income, not one. The process of moving product, I think it's the interactions between farmers who raise fruits and vegetables and the beekeepers who supply the bees at times is very complex because it affects the timing of certain activities in the orchard. For example, the spraying of insecticides. When the honeybees are there, we don't want them spraying insecticides because we don't want losses from insecticide poisoning. And so all of this has to be highly coordinated. The day that we deliver the bees has to be the day that they're ready to receive them. All of that, of course, is affected by weather and the blossom timing. We work very closely with those people. Most people in today's market who produce fruits and vegetables understand the potential impact that the use of insecticides has on pollinating insects, not just honeybees, but all the pollinating insects, and they're very careful with respect to the timing, not to spray those things when the plants are in blossom stage, when the pollinating insects are highly predominant in the fields. So there's a lot of working together, I think, and understanding the needs of each other. You know, we understand the needs of those people to get their crops pollinated. They understand the value of pollinating insects, and everyone is trying to work together to create this sort of, you know, community of people fostering sustainability.